now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book The Man Crisis comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today. Now, in a previous video, I talked about how Sean P. Diddy Combs is done as related to the entertainment industry. And Sean P. Diddy Combs is basically done as a music mogul because mainly white supremacy said so, and he's been done in because footage of a security camera in a Los Angeles hotel room was presented by CNN showing him abusing his then girlfriend Cassie 8 years ago in 2016. And while the mainstream media has us looking at Sean P. Diddy Combs and how he abused his girlfriend Cassie, no one is really focusing on the flip side of Cassie as a woman in crisis. Now, I do not condone domestic violence. However, when I look at Cassie's situation, it definitely fits the pattern and profile for feminist indoctrinated women that I talk about in depth in my book, The Woman Crisis. And when I look at Cassie, she definitely is a woman in crisis, and she basically wound up in this crisis primarily due to hypergamy. Now, Cassie basically, before she was involved with P. Diddy, got involved with another musician, Ryan Leslie, and she was working with Ryan Leslie as related to starting her music career. And as she was working with Ryan Leslie, that's when her hypergamy first kicked in, because instead of maintaining a professional relationship with Ryan Leslie, what she did was get involved with this man and got involved with him romantically. And as she got involved with him romantically, she thought she was with a high status man of a high social status until Ryan Leslie made the mistake of introducing Cassie to Sean P. Diddy Combs. Now, Cassie was at the same age as Ryan Leslie. Ryan Leslie was a prodigy as related to music who graduated from Harvard University. I mean, he had an Ivy League degree. He had a promising music career. He was making millions of dollars. And Cassie could have easily built a relationship with the man who was of her youth. But instead, what happened with Cassie is that as she gave into the female nature of hypergamy, what she did was, when she saw P. Diddy Combs, what she saw a man who had higher social status and had more economic resources than Ryan Leslie. And this is where Cassie looked to break up from Ryan Leslie and decided to get involved with Sean P. Diddy Combs. Now, Cassie thought that she would be able to have a healthy relationship with Sean P. Diddy Combs, not understanding anything regarding his background as related to him being one of these beta males who had really poor discipline and self-control, because one of the reasons why he has the nickname Puffy is because he's known for having a very hair-trigger temper and is known for exploding in rage, and known for exploding in rage because if things don't go his way, he does not have the male life skills or male survival skills of discipline or self-control to be able to navigate through his emotions. And that's what made life hard for Sean P. Diddy Combs as related to his relationship with his previous girlfriend, Kim Porter, who was his baby mama. And Cassie thought that she could just go into this relationship with this high-status man because this high-status man would be the one paying her attention. And because this high-status man was paying her attention, she thought she could go into this relationship by monkey branching from Ryan Leslie over to Sean P. Diddy Combs, and that her social status would be elevated as he was looking to go again put her on his label, Bad Boy Records. Now, this was a very bad decision because, again, when it comes to work, you don't want to crap where you eat, and you don't want to get involved with people who you are working with because it turns into a mess that basically destroys your life. However, what Cassie wanted to do was continue to elevate her status, and she thought she could elevate her status by being the girlfriend of Sean P. Diddy Combs. She thought at being about 19 years old, she could go out here and be the girlfriend of Sean P. Diddy Combs and she could be with this high status man and live this lifestyle. And as she lived this lifestyle that Sean P. Diddy Combs would provide for her, she would be able to further elevate her status in the music industry. Unfortunately, when she got involved with Sean P. Diddy Combs, what happened was it wasn't the happily ever after that she thought it would be, because when it came to Sean P. Diddy Combs, again, he was a beta male who was a man in crisis, and this man in crisis basically had serious power issues as related to the dysfunctional way he was raised. And due to the dysfunctional way he was raised, what Diddy wanted to do was he wanted to get power at any cost. Moreover, as he entered the entertainment industry, he found out he couldn't be the music mogul he wanted to, because in the media arm of white supremacy, they don't allow black men to have that kind of power. And this was the issue that led to Sean P. Diddy Combs looking to get his power in a place I call the secret world. And in the secret world, P. Diddy was looking to get power through being in the secret world and exploring alleged sexual deviancy that has been reported by many sources. And Cassie thought that, she could get with this man and everything would be fine. Unfortunately, as she got with P. Diddy, this is where P. Diddy wanted to show how much power he had by breaking Cassie down. And he wanted to break Cassie down because he felt powerless about the inability to control everything as a mogul in the music industry, because he was only a mogul in name only as related to the system of white supremacy. And as a mogul in name only in the system of white supremacy, yes, he had money, but he didn't have the power, because when it comes to the system of white supremacy, the black individuals who are allowed to be in that system are only allowed to be puppets and mouthpieces, and Diddy didn't really like that. So what he did was look to get his power by abusing Cassie. And that abuse ranged in a spectrum of violent, sexually deviant behaviors. And again, these sexual acts were not about pleasure, they were about power. They were about breaking down a woman to humiliate her. They were about breaking down a woman to take away her sense of power over herself, her sense of agency over herself. That's what the sexual abuse P. Diddy allegedly was participating in, and the physical abuse he was participating was all about. It was all about breaking down Cassie, and it was all about seeing Cassie being broken down and subjugated to the will of this man who felt like he had no power as a man in the system of white supremacy. This is why he wound up, again, participating in seeing Cassie not as a person, but as an object. And I believe he always saw her as an object from minute one. I believe that he saw Cassie as an object as related to him looking to get this power. And his relationship with Cassie was about taking her into the sexually deviant secret world, where he had her participating in sex acts with other men, had men run trains on her, and even allegedly had her participate in sex trafficking, where he traded her body away. I mean, he did this all while watching as a voyeur, allegedly, according to reports. And again, this is the kind of abuse that is all about a man having power over a woman, and again, looking to break that woman down because he's feeling insecure about himself as a man. That's basically what this whole situation with Cassie was all about. And sadly, Cassie got into this situation because of hypergamy. She thought that she could monkey branch from Ryan Leslie over to Sean P. Diddy Combs into a better economic situation with a higher status man of higher social status and more resources. Unfortunately, as she got involved with this higher status man basically put her in an abusive situation, which is what sadly happened, because when a woman gets caught up in hypergamy, again, she's caught up in her emotions, and she's caught up in the idea of having this clout and social status, but not thinking about more important intangibles such as her dignity, her self-worth, and her freedom, because she thinks that her self-worth will be elevated by being in the presence of this man. She thinks that being in the presence of this man will elevate her social status, and sadly, because she is spellbound by the ideal of being with that man, she doesn't really think about more important things like her health, her safety, her dignity, and her life. And that's basically what put Cassie on a paradigm with Diddy. Again, this hypergamy basically put her on a bad paradigm where she looked to go out here and monkey branch from one man to another man. And as she looked to monkey branch to Diddy, she really wasn't thinking critically about the situation. She just thought, oh, I'm a biracial black woman. This black man will again see me as a high status female based because of my looks and my appearance. And he'll look to elevate me over other black women like Kim Porter because she's a young biracial black woman. But the whole thing is she wound up getting involved with a man who, yes, he had money, but he had power issues, and the power issues are the thing that basically put her on a road to getting involved with a sexually deviant man in crisis. And this sexually deviant black man in crisis basically, again, fit the narrative of white supremacy's black brute. And again, Diddy basically fell into that narrative by his own hand. Again, fell into that narrative because he wanted to, again, break down a woman because he wanted power he didn't have. And what happened with Cassie is, again, she was in this relationship with this man where she looked to get elevated, but she didn't see how this man was going to break her down later on as related to the relationship because she was caught up in the material things as related to this man, but never thinking about the mental or spiritual things. No, she was just caught up in, oh, a music mogul's paying attention to me, but not understanding how the music mogul basically was a guy who basically was caught up in being a black brute, and again, caught up in that whole thing because he wanted power as a man he couldn't have as he thought as related to the entertainment industry, because Diddy thought that he could be this mogul and have this leverage over people as related to information he thought he could have over people. But the whole thing is he played a game with white supremacy of chess, not understanding it was a rigged game. And sadly, what happened is they wound up weaponizing information he thought he had paid to get rid of. He thought he had paid to get rid of the security camera footage of that video, but that video still came out. And that video still came out because when you play a game as related to a rigged game with white supremacy, you're never going to win in the first place. But with Cassie, again, she also is following a paradigm of failure that I talked about in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, and my book, The Woman Crisis. And her paradigms really started when she started getting involved with men, not really vetting these men as related to seeing their character. No, she was looking to climb a social status ladder. And as she looked to climb the social status ladder, she wound up taking a huge fall when she got with Diddy. And that's where she took the fall, and eventually she wound up breaking up with Diddy. And then the trauma was already done because instead of her looking to get involved with black men, she got involved with a white man, Alex Fine. And I believe the reason why she got with the white man, Alex Fine, is because of all the trauma she endured with Diddy Combs, basically searing the idea that black men are unattractive and undesirable and are just brutes and deviants in her mind. Basically, that's what happened here with, I believe, Cassie, this biracial black woman. She was so traumatized from the horrors she endured at the hands of the relationship with Diddy Combs that she got involved with Alex Fine, a standard white guy, and then went to build her family with that white man. Now, this whole story with Cassie basically shows me the impact of white supremacy on the black female mind once more, and how the black woman can again get caught up in hypergamy, and as she tries to monkey branch like a white woman, she can wind up falling into a pit as she looks to monkey branch. And that's what basically I believe happened with Cassie that led to her being a woman who is still in crisis, maybe slowly recovering from that trauma. I'm hoping that she gets some counseling, because the whole thing is this type of abuse, this type of abuse where a woman is broken down, a woman needs to really go into therapy and go into counseling to deal with all the mental health trauma she endured. And that's something that she needs to do as related to this situation. But I see a lot of people talking about how Diddy is a monster, but they're not really talking about the pattern of behavior that Cassie was in as related to hypergamy. Nobody's really talking about Cassie. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not blaming the victim. I don't condone domestic violence, but we have to look at female behavior and look at how female behavior can really lead a woman to fall into a trap with the wrong man. Because a lot of women, they think about, oh, I want to get with this high value man, not looking at his morals or values. And they think about getting with the high status man based on what he has, not thinking about what type of morals or values that man has. And that's the lesson a lot of people aren't learning about Cassie. They're not really learning the lesson about Cassie as related to where she and her head was as related to getting involved with Diddy. Again, a 19-year-old girl really shouldn't be out here without a father there to vet the men that she's involved with, because a 19-year-old girl really doesn't even know herself that much. I mean, if I had a 19-year-old daughter and an older man like a Diddy rolled up, nah, my daughter's not getting involved with that man, because I know that that man has serious power issues, that man has serious insecurities and serious issues, because, again, a grown 50 plus or 40 plus year old man ain't thinking about getting with no child, because a 19-year-old to me is just a child. You don't know nothing about life. And Cassie, basically, nobody wants to talk about how hypergamy put her on the road to being a woman in crisis and how she's still dealing with issues. Nobody wants to talk about that side of the story. I mean, in this story, again, I don't see anybody really with clean hands as related to the situation, but I see how everybody talks about Diddy, the super brute black man, but nobody talks about Cassie. But that's a par for the course with our gynocentric society, which wants us to see her as only a victim, but never want us to talk about how hypergamy misled her choices. Nobody wants to talk about that side of the story. Nobody wants to talk about how Cassie's side of the story really shows how hypergamy can put a woman on the road from being a success with one man to winding up monkey branching to another man who could put her on the road to being a woman in crisis. Now, if you want to learn more about what leads to women winding up on the road to becoming women in crisis, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available for the first time in paperback, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. Learn all the reasons why so many Black women can't find a husband and why 70% of Black women are single. Get your copy of Why 70% of Black Women Are Single on Amazon.com today.
Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.